All right, so we're diving into a couple of thrillers today. You ready for this?
Always ready for a good thriller. Let's do it.
Okay, so we're looking at two books by Frida McFadden, The Housemaid, and then the sequel, The Housemaid's Secret.
Oh, yeah, I know those. Definitely got that kind of similar vibe going on, right?
Yeah, definitely. Quick reads, tons of twists. We'll get into the plots of both, but I also want to talk about, what makes them tick, you know?
Totally. Like, what's she doing that makes them so gripping?
Exactly. Okay, so, The Housemaid. We meet Millie. She's our, housemaid. Mysterious past. Like, right away, you know there's more to her story.
Oh, yeah, she's not just some ordinary maid, that's for sure.
Right. So she gets a job with this family. Seems normal enough at first, but things get, strange pretty quickly.
Strange how? Give me a little taste.
Well, the wife, Nina, she's in this really awful situation with her husband. He's abusive, seriously controlling and scary.
Okay, so classic domestic suspense setup. Got it.
Yeah, you think you know where it's going. But then, bam, McFadden hits you with a twist. See, Nina's not just a victim. She's actively trying to get out.
Oh, I see. So she's not just waiting for someone to rescue her. She's taking matters into her own hands.
Exactly. And she sees Millie and her, past as a potential solution.
That's interesting. So the book's not just about a housemaid with a secret. It's also about how far someone will go to escape a bad situation.
Right. And it makes you think, does the end justify the means, even if it means,
Taking a life, yeah, heavy stuff.
Definitely. So McFadden really digs into that. And Millie, she's this morally gray character. You're never quite sure if she's good or bad.
Which makes her so interesting, right? You're constantly trying to figure her out.
Totally. And the ending of the book, it kind of solidifies that whole idea. Millie helps Nina escape. Permanently.
Whoa. Okay, so no happily ever after for the husband, huh?
Nope. And what's crazy is Millie doesn't run away or anything. She actually embraces her, let's say, unique skill set.
What do you mean?
The book ends with her getting recommendations to help other women in similar situations.
Wow. So she's like a protector of women. A vigilante? It's kind of blurry, right?
Super blurry. And that's what makes you want to read the sequel. What path is she going to choose?
Right. What happens next? Does she become a full-blown, avenger for abused wives or what?
Well, that's where The Housemaid's Secret comes in. Years later, Millie's working for another wealthy couple, this time in New York City.
Okay, so new city, new family, same Millie.
Same Millie, but different vibe, It's the wife this time, Wendy, who seems like she's in trouble, withdrawn, scared. Millie even hears her crying.
So you're thinking, oh, here we go again. Another abusive husband situation.
Exactly. But McFadden, she's playing with us. She knows we're expecting that.
So she's going to flip the script somehow.
Oh, absolutely. And that's what makes The Housemaid's Secret so wild. You think you know what's going on, but then she pulls the rug out from under you.
I love that.
Yeah.
The unpredictable twists.
Yeah.
The suspense.
Yeah.
Got to keep you guessing, right?
For sure. And one of the things that makes this sequel different is how McFadden uses multiple perspectives. So in The Housemaid, we're mostly seeing things through Millie's eyes.
Right. We're in her head.
Yeah. But in The Housemaid's Secret, we get both Millie and Wendy's point of view.
Oh, interesting. So we get to see both sides of the story, how they each experience what's going on.
Exactly. And that's where things get really, really interesting. Because you start to realize Wendy isn't the damsel in distress she seems.
Oh, so she's not the victim?
Not exactly. She's got her own plan. And it's messed up.
Messed up how?
She wants her husband gone. And she wants Millie to do it.
Whoa, hold on. So she's setting Millie up. Using her.
Big time. And the way she does it, it's so twisted. It makes you question everything you thought you knew about these characters.
Okay, now I'm really intrigued. This Wendy sounds like a piece of work.
Oh, she is. And it puts Millie in this incredibly dangerous position. Remember, she's already got this dark past.
Right, she did time for manslaughter, so if anything happens to this husband.
She's the obvious suspect.
Exactly. And that's just the tip of the iceberg. Trust me, things get even crazier from there.
So it's not just a repeat of the first book. It's like taking that basic premise and making it even darker, more twisted.
Way more twisted. And the reviewer actually pointed out that this sequel is even more psychologically complex.
Because now you have this wife, Wendy, who's not just a victim, she's manipulative. And it makes you question, are her actions justified? Is she really that bad?
Right. And it's hard to know who to root for. At first, you're totally on Wendy's side, but then as you learn more, you're like, wait a minute.
Yeah, it's who's the real villain here? Is it Wendy for wanting her husband dead? or Millie for potentially going along with it.
It's a total mind game, and McFadden does it brilliantly.
It really makes you think about, like, the whole idea of what makes a villain. Is it just about the actions? Or is it the motivation behind them, too?
Right, right. Because on the one hand, you have Wendy trying to manipulate Millie into killing her husband, which is, huge. Huge, yeah. But then on the other hand, you have this backstory of her marriage.
Yeah.
This controlling husband. So it's like, how much sympathy do we give her?
Yeah, it's tough. And I think that's one of the things that makes The Housemaid's Secret so fascinating. It's not just about the plot, it's about the psychology of the characters.
And I think that's what the reviewer was getting at, too. They felt like this sequel had more depth than the first book.
More depth?
Yeah, like in The Housemaid, you're mostly focused on Millie's past, her motivations. But in The Housemaid's Secret, you get inside Wendy's head, too. And it makes everything so much more complex.
Okay, I see what you mean. But the reviewer also mentioned that the sequel felt a little repetitive.
Right, right. They said some of the plot elements were similar to the first book. Like, in both books, Millie ends up caught in the middle of a murder plot.
Okay, yeah, I can see that. But I still think the sequel is worth reading. I mean, the ending is absolutely insane.
Oh, yeah. The ending. McFadden throws everything at you. Betrayals, close calls, even brings back characters from the first book.
Like who?
Enzo, Millie's ex. And then there's Millie's new boyfriend, Brock. He's a lawyer, which adds a whole other layer of complications.
Oh, I forgot about him. That's right. He has no idea about Millie's past, right?
No clue. So when things start to go south, well, let's just say he gets a crash course in Millie's world.
So it sounds like the sequel is even more action-packed than the first one.
Definitely. And the reviewer pointed out that it's really well written, too. Like, McFadden knows how to build suspense.
You're always on the edge of your seat, wondering what's going to happen next.
Exactly. But the reviewer also had one criticism. They felt like the sequel didn't really delve into Millie's character development.
Interesting. You mean like how the events of the first book changed her?
Exactly. We don't really see how she's coping with, the trauma of everything that happened.
Yeah, that's a good point. Like, does she have any regrets? Does she feel guilty?
We don't really know. It's like she's just reacting to the situation, not really processing it.
So are you saying the sequel is all plot and no character development?
Not exactly. I think McFadden does a great job with Wendy's character. But the reviewer felt like there was a missed opportunity to go deeper with Millie.
Like to really explore her inner world, how she's changed.
Right. They felt like that would have made the sequel even stronger, giving it that extra emotional punch.
Okay, so the sequel has its flaws. But what about the overall verdict? Did the reviewer recommend it?
Yeah, they gave it 3.5 out of 5 stars. So not perfect, but still worth a read. Especially if you like, fast-paced thrillers with lots of twists.
Just like a good, beach read. Something to keep you entertained, but not necessarily super deep.
Exactly. Sometimes you just want a book that's pure fun. And The Housemaid's Secret definitely delivers on that.
It sounds like it's a good choice if you just want to escape into a world of crazy plots and messed up characters.
Definitely. And sometimes that's exactly what you need.
Yeah, sometimes you just want a book that grabs you and doesn't let go, right?
Absolutely. A pure escape. And McFadden is so good at creating those kinds of stories.
Totally.
Yeah.
But I think what makes her books even more interesting is that they're not just mindless entertainment. They actually make you think.
Right. They have that, thought-provoking element, too. Like with Millie, you're constantly questioning her choices.
Yeah, like, is she doing the right thing?
Huh.
Is there even a right thing in these messed up situations?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's what we love about this kind of deep dive, right?
Yeah.
We can get into the plot, the characters, but ultimately it's up to the reader to decide what they think.
It's so personal, how you interpret everything, how you feel about Millie, about Wendy. It's all on you.
And that's what makes it fun, right? You can
Yeah.
have these totally different interpretations of the same story.
Okay, so we've talked about the characters, the plot twists, but there's one more thing I want to touch on before we wrap up. The setting.
The setting.
Yeah, like the houses in these books, they're not just backdrops, they actually add to the whole creepy vibe.
Oh, yeah, totally. McFadden's really good at describing the interiors, the furniture, the way the light hits things.
It's like the houses have their own secrets, they're almost like characters themselves.
And they reflect the character's state of mind, too, right? Like Wendy's house in the sequel, it's so sterile, so controlled.
It's like a reflection of her personality. Everything's got to be perfect, even if it's all fake underneath.
Yeah. And then Millie's apartment. It's small, cluttered, kind of messy.
It shows how she's still trying to find her place in the world, like she's not quite settled.
So even though these books are fast-paced and action-packed, There's this whole other layer of meaning hidden in the setting.
It's like McFadden's giving you these little clues, making you pay attention to every detail.
And that makes it even more fun to read, right? Because you're not just passively following the story, you're actively engaged.
Exactly. So as you're reading The Housemaid and The Housemaid's Secret, pay attention to the houses, the rooms, even the furniture. It all adds to the psychological tension.
It might even make you look at your own home differently.
Mm-hmm.
Like what secrets are lurking in those corners,
Haha. Maybe we should all be a little more suspicious of our own homes. But anyway, that's it for our deep dive into Frida McFadden's thrillers.
I hope you enjoyed it.
We had a blast talking about these books. They're definitely page-turners, and even though they have some flaws, they're super entertaining.
Definitely. If you're looking for a quick, twisty read that'll keep you guessing, these are definitely worth checking out.
And maybe they'll even make you think a little bit about the choices we make, the lines we cross, and the secrets we keep.
The secrets we keep. Exactly.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive, and until next time, happy reading.